Shalom. I'd like to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone who rule well. And shalom to you sincere, hopeful, elect brothers and sisters listening and learning, and to you brothers preaching and teaching this truth through the four corners of the earth. This is Brother Nathan coming out of the GMS Indianapolis camp. Come back with a quick one through the spirit. This is a TikTok video. This is the U.S. banking system is on the edge of collapse, and nobody's talking about it. Right, and we know, especially if you're on your watch, if you've been paying attention, that the U.S. dollar is steady in decline. The banking system is in the brink of destruction. So this old system is getting ready to be obsolete, because we know ultimately what the ultimate goal is. Their NWO via what? The MOT to the B. All right. That micro C-hip, that Revelation 13:16, all right? So it's on the verge of collapse, which they're going to let this thing collapse, through the spirit, and get these people desperate, all right? When the people's cash, the dollar doesn't mean anything, and it's worthless, these people are going to be desperate for the next, next thing. And they want to make everything digital. And pretty much everything is digital for the most part. All right? It's not, obviously you can still use cash, but majority of everything is pretty much digital as it is. It's just not mandatory that way to a sense. You got certain restaurants or whatnot that, other people that don't accept cash, So, I'm going to go ahead and play this, and we'll get a couple precepts, and we'll close this out.
Sector of the United States of America is about to collapse. There's no question in anybody's mind anymore that is about to happen. Now, if you don't know that, it's not because it's not true. It's simply because nobody in the mainstream media is talking about it. All economists see it. Everybody in the banking system sees it. Everybody's scared shitless. They're just not talking about it. Here's what happened.
Right, because you come out to the masses and start talking about it, guess what? There's going to be bank runs. There's going to be an instant collapse, So they're trying to ease this thing in to where the people don't panic. That's why they keep, here in America, Babylon the Great, they'll continue to hit you with the bread and circuses, man. You still got the NFL, NBA. You got the entertainment world dramas, rappers and singers and musicians, then you got like I said, the actors and stuff. So you got all the celebrity gossip, all that shit to keep you distracted from the real things.
Number one, a building in Midtown.
And that's how this is Rome all over again, because that was the same thing they did. It was the bread and circuses, the Roman games, and giving out food, and keeping you drunk, keeping you blinded to what's going on behind the scenes.
Manhattan, that sold for $382 million in 2006, was just auctioned a few weeks ago for $8.2 million. You heard me correctly. $382 million. It was auctioned for $8.2 million. The reason for this is occupancy in major office buildings around the country has dropped tremendously. Everybody's working from home. It's more effective for companies, so why would they have commercial real estate they don't need? So they're not leasing these office buildings anymore. And these office buildings have literally, across the country, $20 trillion in debt. What happened was the cap rate on these buildings, when they were full, was about 4.5%, which is what you would expect. That's what you want as a landlord. It's perfect. Unfortunately, because of COVID, everybody went home. And then corporations realized, well, hell, just because I can't see them doesn't mean that they're not doing the same amount of work. Okay, great. Stay home. I'll just give you a tiny little raise so that you can buy some stuff at your house and do business from home. Perfect. Except that what they did by doing that was lower the cap rate with these huge occupancies to just barely above zero. Those office buildings are financed at the old rates of 2%. and they're not making any money. In some cases, they're losing just a tiny bit at 2%. When they have to refinance those loans, and there are $4 trillion of those insanely low interest rate loans coming due in the next 18 months, those loans will be defaulted upon, period. Those buildings will be empty. The banking system in the United States will start to collapse.
That's why, Trump was pushing heavy too. He said, we got to get our people back to work. We got to get them, back in these offices and stuff, right? Because these people, and that's why a lot of these corporations are, they're all tied in, man, to the system. That's why, if you were working from home, they want you back in the office now. All right. But then again, you got corporations too that are like, nah, we ain't sending our people back. We're terminating our leases, shit, blah, blah, blah. But all this is going to be a domino effect, to the economy. Because these things were never meant to be stopped. This is going to be a continuous cycle of things rolling,
So the question you have to ask yourself is, do I want my money in the banking system? Well, it's FDIC insured, right? Sure. The FDIC talked about in November of 2022, they talked about something that most people never heard about. I actually watched the video where the FDIC director said, look, we don't want to talk about bail-ins because it'll panic the public, it'll cause a run on institutions, but there will be bail-ins. That's what he said. A bail-in is simply the opposite of a bailout. Instead of your tax money going to prop up the banks like it did in 2008, because they swore that they'd never do that again, they came up with a different plan, bail-ins. And a bail-in means that you go to the bank and you say, I want my $250,000. And they say, no. You can't have it. That's it. It's a bail-in. Now, what people don't realize is that because of the legislation that was passed after 2008, the Dodd-Frank Act, you are no longer putting your money in their institution. According to that act, you now are making an unsecured loan to your financial institution. Unsecured, which means if they can't pay you back, they don't have to pay you back. In lieu of that, however, you can opt for stock in their insolvent bank. Now, I don't know if that excites you. I can't think of anything less exciting. I would rather stick a fork in my own eye than have my entire life savings disappear in lieu of stock in a worthless bank. Warren Buffett just sold $282 million worth of Bank America a couple days ago. What does he know that you don't? Start doing some homework, folks. And by the way, the reason I know all of this is because I'm in the silver business. I don't deal with bullshit paper that's written by...
That's right, because hey, gold and silver is the real money. That's the Most High's money. All right, you can't just print it out. Not these FRNs, these Federal Reserve notes. That is losing value. So hey, it's about to enter some interesting times. But like I said, they're about to make that transition. All right, and a lot of these companies too are what they trimming the fat, right? They're really cutting jobs. You see all these corporations cutting thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs, and them thousands of jobs lead to what? Thousands of families. All right? Which is going to lead to a lot of issues, man. All right? So that's why I said, let's get this real quick. This Ecclesiastes 12:3, it says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. Who's the keepers of the house? All right, these elite banking families. All right, ran by Esau, the so-called white man. Shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Right, because the grinding is ceasing. All right, because a lot of these corporations and just businesses in general, all the way down to small businesses, they're ran off of loans. All right, from these banks. And then once people can't pay and live up to them, it's going to, start defaulting on these loans because they can't make the payments because They don't have the workforce, or they're struggling because no one's buying their products. So they're trying to downsize, but in the midst of downsizing, they're not keeping the revenues up to be able to pay their bills. So they start defaulting on these loans, and and all these banks, they can't eat it all at once. You know, in which way it's gonna make these banks fail, and so it's gonna cause, like I said, that domino effect. It's in verse 4, and the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Yep. Because that's the times we're entering too, man. All right, ain't the time for happiness and, you know, living in the American dream. Because the American dream, once you wake up, you figure out it's a nightmare the whole time, and it's getting worse. All right, the grip is being tightened because ultimately, these elites, they have the new system about to come out, the MOTB. All right, and then everything is getting set up. They're doing test runs now. You know, you got people that have adopted the MOTB already. You know, early adopters that are functioning in society, especially in Sweden. You know, that's a big deal up in Sweden. You know, so you got your tap to pay. You know, you got you can start your vehicle. You know, go to the vending machine. Open up your house. You know, via all this technology, man. But yeah, these banks is about to fail, man. It's Revelation 13-16, and he causeth all. See, and part of that, he's causing it, right? That cause what? Letting these banks fail. All right, which is going to destroy the people and keep them, you know, keep them in that desperate state. So by the time they initiate, they come with this system, they're gonna run for it, just like they ran for the C-19 jump shot. All right, boy, especially you, 2/3 of you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man, y'all got boosted up, man. y'all ran to it. Anything to get back into the clubs, anything to get back to quote unquote normalcy, but it's never been normal anyways. All right. So you know, that's why Jake is going. 2/3 are going to be destroyed, man, because they want this system to continue. All right, they're not looking for this to be saved. All right, they believe they're saved. They believe Esau, even so-called white men, saved them. This is Revelation 13:6, and he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that mark is the Greek word charagma, right? Which is a physical insertion. All right, we can get it. There ain't no embargo. It ain't sleeping with white women. It ain't Christianity. All right, it's a physical thing. It says a stamp and a printed mark. Let's get the Strongs. It says charagma, same as G 5482. It says a scratch or etching, i.e. stamp, as a badge of servitude, or sculptured figure, statue, graven mark. See? It's a physical thing. All right. Verse 17. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Right, you ain't gonna be able to buy or sell. All right, you're gonna be on the outskirts, looking in. All right, unless you get down with the C-hip. All right, and mind you, before you can get that C-hip for real, look, I'm telling you, through the spirit, it's gonna be chaotic out here, man. They gonna put you desperate. They ain't gonna have to go door to door and ask you if you're gonna take this chip. No, these people are gonna be willingly lining up, all right, to keep this thing going. Because you know the celebrities are gonna be pushing it hard. You know, all these TikTok and Instagram influencers, right? Verse 18. You know, because you know, oh yeah, they got it. Because these people that's these people idols, man. All right, your favorite sports athlete, LeBron James up there talking about get your C hit, man. Look how easy it is. You know. Verse 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 603 score and six. Now, when you go to that, 603 score and six is the Greek word chi stigma. Then when you go into stigma, it says a mark pricked in or branded upon the body. To ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander branded or pricked, parentheses, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. Right, because when you take this the C-hip, you show what you're gonna serve Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. It's like in Matthew 6, you can't serve the Most High and Mammon. All right, because you either love the one or hate the other. All right, you got to choose one. All right. It says, and there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way with the token of their gods. The Strong's definition for stigma is a mark incised or punched for recognition of ownership. See? The Greek lexicon, stick, sting, a mark pricked in or branded upon the body. Yep. So it's a physical thing. All right. So all you wicked ass camps and other people trying to preach it to be something different other than the MOT to the B, other than the micro C hip. All right, that RFID. All right, that NFC. You're going off, and the Lord gonna get with you and destroy you because what? You're gonna have blood on your hands. Because what? You're holding your sword back from blood, man. You're not preaching the truth. All right, you're not giving the children of Israel what they need to nourish themselves in the spirit, to be ready. All right, to be held back from the hour of temptation. All right. Which, you know, ultimately what? The elect, it's all about the elect anyway. So the elect are going to get it. They're going to understand it. They're going to refuse it. And Yahweh Shema Shai is going to put the spirit on them to endure to the very end and be saved. So with that, I pray this is edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. And I'd like to give all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem HaKakodash. Double honesty, the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Kwam Yashar Allah, Shalom.